Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from Worldcast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole weekend fly fishing forecast for the weekend of August 7th and 8th. First weekend of August is upon us. We received some really good precipitation last week. As I was saying, that weekend, that 5 to 7 day forecast, we had a really good chance of some heavy precipitation, and we received that even into the beginning of this week on Monday. Eastern, Snake River Plain, Idaho Falls, Rexburg, Ryrie, some of those other areas, some of them saw up to 3 inches of rain in that period. Western slope of the Tetons, Island Park area, Yellowstone Plateau, they saw 2.5 total inches. So that really helped us out for these next 10 to 14 days moving forward. We saw our air quality improve. We saw our smoke clear out from our surrounding area. We saw a lot of our, dust in our tributaries, and we actually saw inflow into some of our creeks, streams, and rivers like the Teton, the Fall River, the Hoback, the Grovant, and some of those rise, and even to the point that we got enough precipitation that we netted out, even on our reservoir draws for the day. At the end of the day, we netted, 0 even for inflow to outflow, and the reservoir did not rise, although it did not fall. So we'll take whatever we can get. We actually have a pretty good opportunity for some precip coming tomorrow, Friday, and into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, where we're supposed to have a cold front that's going to come through. We're going to see precipitation starting Friday. We're going to see our temps drop. We're going to see our Saturday temperatures of sunny, 77 and 52. Sunday it's supposed to be 81 and 49, but our 10-day forecast, folks, looks really good. We're looking at the high to mid 70s during the week and our lows in the high 40s. So everything that we need besides a bunch of precipitation, we're going to get this coming week. It's going to cool some of our water temperatures. Hopefully some of this precip helps with our reservoir levels. We're starting to see some drawdown, especially in Island Park Reservoir and on Palisades Reservoir, as consumptive water users, and the barley gets cut, alfalfa gets cut, hay gets cut, and everything along those lines. So it's going to be close, actually a little too close for comfort, but we're looking still in a very good situation considering what our neighbors are dealing with in areas of Montana, in areas of Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, and some other places. So we're still in relatively good shape in comparison of the Rocky Mountain West. Jackson Lake right now, 55% of capacity. Palisades Reservoir's 45% of capacity there. We're losing about 1% of Palisades Reservoir per day. So if we don't get some increased inflow or we don't see decreased outflow, we're going to be sitting at that 1% day loss. Coming in right there where water managers thought it was going to be those first couple weeks of September, where the reservoir was starting to get in single digits. South Fork of the Snake, we've seen flows decrease from 16,000, 16,500 CFS to 14,000, 14,500 CFS. So a 2,000 CFS drop here in the past week, which is all good by everyone. Guides, shoulders, arms, everybody's getting sore and tired from the hardcore rowing that everybody's been doing on the South Fork of the Snake. We've got 15,000 CFS down there around Heise. We've seen the South Fork of the Snake fish really well all summer. We've seen a couple signs of some slowdowns. Not much with that much water still in the system. Golden Stone fishing has still been really good. You can tell that the fish have seen a lot of foam bugs after the phenomenal salmon fly and foam fishing we had during the month of July, which is just, basic principle. As fish see more flies, they get more tentative to eat them. So I would be looking for goldens, hoppers, PMDs, caddis, things of those sorts. Maybe the beginning of some other terrestrials like ants, beetles, things along those lines, especially on the lower river when it's been really hot and really dry. We saw some turbidity increase this week coming out of Palisades Dam. It's starting to sort of taper off from where it started yesterday. But the South Fork of the Snake, it's still really darn good for fishing coming into here the first couple weeks of August. Look for water managers to start dropping those flows. They're not going to be extraordinary jumps, but they're going to be little bits here and there. So hopefully we'll see the reservoir not get as low as they're forecasting. The Henry's Fork, once again, 588 CFS coming out of Island Park Dam. This time last week, it was around 1,000. 1,320 CFS there on the lower river around Ashton. Subsequently, as irrigation demand has been dropping, as agricultural individuals start cutting hay and alfalfa and barley and everything along those lines, the diversion is going to decrease where consumptive water users aren't needing as much water. So that's where we're starting to see some of these water discharge decreases starting to come out of the upper Snake River system. The Henry's Fork up there in the Box Canyon is still pretty good. You know, I'd probably, the Box Canyon, you know, at 1,900 CFS is a pretty quick ride. Things are definitely slowing down there a little bit. That's going to allow you to start fishing a lot more of the water than maybe just the banks and some structure and some seams. So start to pick apart some of those pockets and spots. Dry dropper fishing, golden stones, big parachute with any of those tungsten jig droppers can be really good. Streamer fishing has been so-so now that the water has dropped a little bit. The ranch, now that the water has dropped, has been quite good the past couple weeks, especially early in the morning, especially late in the evening, those lower light periods when it's been hot and dry like this. With this cold front, I'd be very curious to see what the ranch does midday in some of those afternoon time periods when we start to get some of that overcast cloud cover, and it could be phenomenal. Leftover flavs here and there, but it's mostly some of those PMDs, those cinnamon sort of honey ants, and some of those terrestrials, you know, small hoppers, tan, olive, you know, 8s through 12s, some stuff like that can really produce some fun fishing on the ranch this time of year. And word to the wise, there's usually not a ton of people up there, and it's a really good time to be on the ranch right now. The lower river, it's been fishing pretty good. It still has pretty high levels of dissolved oxygen, which is something to take into consideration when we start to see some of these rising water temperatures and things along those lines. The terrestrial fishing has been really good down there. Strong leaders, 2x, 1x if you can get by with it, 3x maybe. Get the fish in the net, get them back in the water. No photos, things along those lines, and they should be okay. But, you know, definitely concentrate on those early morning periods on the lower Henry's Fork. The Snake and Jackson, out of the whole Snake River system, this is the interesting one. 5,060 CFS. This is the same 5,060 CFS that I've been reporting the past 3 weeks. So as we've seen some of these drops in Palisades Dam, we've seen some drops in the Henry's Fork, especially Island Park Reservoir, we haven't started to see any in the Snake. And the Snake, in honesty, the fishing quality will be really, really good if we could get the water just dropped a little bit, and we are really close to it. We still have all angling methods working. Dry dropper fishing has been really good. Small dry attractor fishing and some of those recircs, eddies, pools, things along those lines have still been really good. We had some serious clarity issues last week. We've got the Hoback is still puking in some color. We had the rest of the river, probably from the Grovant, Spread Creek, Buffalo Fork area, go off color during that big rainstorm, but things are starting to sort of shape up nicely. The Hoback is still a bit off color, so I would concentrate my efforts if I am fishing the Snake from the dam to probably Moose or Wilson to South Park as well, but from Astoria down, the clarity can be quite poor. We've seen some warmer water temps there, especially on the Snake around Moose, especially up there by the dam to Pacific, outside of where those tributaries start pumping in some of that colder water influence. So you start seeing those temperatures rise around 67 degrees. I've been preaching it all summer. Stop fishing, cut your hooks off your flies. You can still get them to eat, you can still see them, but you're not putting that undue stress on them with landing them, handling them, releasing them, etc. The Teton in the Valley, 277 CFS up here by Driggs, 612 CFS there on the lower river. This time last week, the Teton was below 200 CFS. So we saw some really good increase in inflow from that rain, which really helped the Teton out. In honesty, no one should really be fishing the Teton from 2 p.m. afterwards. We've been seeing a bunch of dead fish all throughout the river system up here in the valley. And if the afternoon is the only time that you can fish, we have people come in the fly shop all season saying, oh, I only can go from 4 until 6. Well, to be honest, that's probably the worst time of day to be fishing the Teton. So either get out in the morning or don't go at all, because we're starting to see a bunch of dead fish floating around from people in the afternoon. I'm not saying it's just anglers. It could be a lot of environmental influences or things along those lines. But our actions as anglers are controllable. We can say yes or no. The environmental actions are something that we cannot control. So 2 p.m. onwards into dusk, I'd probably give the Teton a rest. Early in the morning, it's been really good with PMD spinners, caddis, and some terrestrials and things like that. But get on early, get off early, get your work done early. You know, if you are going to be handling any fish, make sure your hands are wet. You know, try not to take them out of the water, keep them in the net, etc. You know, because this is a long-term perspective on our sport. It's not just the one time that you get to come out here and fish and you get to catch a fish. We want you to come out next year, and we want you to come out the next year, and we want you to come out 5-6 years from now to see all of our great fisheries. But some of our fisheries, especially the freestone and areas of the Snake, the Lower Henry's Fork, and the Teton, just need to be left alone now during those periods of 2 p.m. on. Yellowstone National Park, it's still on its hoot hour closures. All fishing on all rivers and streams except lakes has to cease at 2 p.m. every day. We've still been having some good reports from Slough Creek, Pebble Creek, Soda Butte Creek, some of those tributaries in the Lamar River Valley. You know, Yellowstone Lake has been fishing pretty well with terrestrials and things along those lines. So there still is some good angling to be had at the latter half of summer here coming up in Yellowstone. Flat Creek opened last week, and we've seen some really good reports and had some good reports from anglers fishing there with PMDs, emergers, hoppers, terrestrials, and things along those lines. Similarly, Wyoming Fish and Game, they have a voluntary hoot owl on Flat Creek of 2 p.m., no angling past that. So us anglers need to stand up for what's right this time of year. It's a controllable factor on what we can and what we can't do for our fisheries. So let's all take the next step and be responsible for what we're doing in these afternoon time periods, and make sure that our fisheries survive here into the next seasons and generations to come for everyone to enjoy, not just us right now. So with that being said, we're still on our summer hours, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We're reloading the fly tables. We've got everything that you guys need for the second half of your summer coming up and fishing. So definitely stop in, say, hey, we're there. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you have a safe weekend and a great weekend out there on the water with your family and friends and other angling cronies. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you here next week.